And we are back. Welcome to the penultimate episode of the Legends Only RTG. And it is now time for one of, if not my favourite video of the entire year. It is time to name our Hall of Fame team for FC24, where we pick our 23 player squad to remember the 23 most important players to us over the course of the last 12 months. We have been doing this since all the way back in FIFA 13. And these teams have been fully immortalised, so we can always look back on them with fondness over the years to come. And hopefully today, the 23 players we will be adding to our collection will do all of these previous teams justice. If you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. And don't forget to let me know who your favourite players from FC24 are down in the comment section below. And without any further ado, let's get straight into it. It's time to name our Hall of Fame for FC24. So the first thing that I can tell you is that there is only one player from last year's Hall of Fame that has managed to go back to back. They will obviously be revealed shortly. There is also a few returning other members from other Hall of Fames. There's a lot of people that are making their second appearances, and there is one player who is making their third appearance in the Hall of Fame. And obviously this was a Legends only RTG, so you won't be surprised to know that almost every single player in this squad is either an icon or hero. But there are three names that have managed to sneak in that aren't official icons and heroes, but still fully deserve their spot in the Hall of Fame. And the first of those is the first player we're going to add to this team, which is the OG, the person that really got us going at the start of the year. There's always one player that stands out at the start of your FIFA or FC seasons, your standard gold card that comes in and absolutely hits the ground running. And for me, that was Mallory Swanson, the first ever women inductee into the SO Legends Hall of Fame. Sadly, the actual gold card version of her is completely extinct. The only version you can get of her is the 90 rated. So we sadly cannot get the official 86 version in the squad. But thankfully, due to concepts, we can keep her in. But the first player on the team is the OG for this year, Mallory Swanson. From the start of the year, we actually jump to the end of the year, because the next two players are players that were heavily involved in both of my back-to-back rank 1 finishes. And that is the Clarence Seedorf, great of the game, and also the 96 Ollie Watkins, another non-legend that makes it into this squad. The 96 version, Path to Glory, I think he was. Yeah, Path to Glory, Ollie Watkins. These two players played all 40 matches in the 40-0 that we got over the course of those two weekend leagues. So they thoroughly deserve their places in here because they were integral to both of those teams. Going back in time once again, and we're going to another player that was very early on, one of the earliest Legend SBCs. It is the base David Beckham from the base David Beckham SBC. Now, I'm obviously going to have to take this version of him because we actually evoed him multiple times over the course of the year. And he ended up playing 582 games for us, 115 goals, 232 assists. Again, go back and watch some of the early episodes. This Beckham card was so important to us and thoroughly deserves his place in the Hall of Fame. Anyone that gets that many appearances is going to inevitably end up in a Hall of Fame team. But we managed to evo him up to a 96 rated with 5-star, 5-star in the end. A fantastic card over the course of the year. And speaking of centre mids, our next two players are going to be a central midfield partnership that revolutionised our style of play once we started dipping in form. The 11 players that are going to make up this team were predominantly the players that we used from like October through to like February time before they started getting phased out. And these next two players are the players that phase them out. And it's going to be another pair in midfield. It is going to be Hadji and it is going to be Socrates. So let's get the two of them in the squad right now. Our red Hadji, of course, and our Socrates. Go and watch any of my shorts regarding the Hadji free kicks. They were absolutely insane. Go on. Ah! Ref! Oh my god. Oh my god. Imagine. Imagine. You're going to move the ball that way. Yes! Oh my god! sadly, we never got the opportunity to Evo this 91 Hadji before the 96 came out. Socrates, we were able to get up to a 95. But again, 241 appearances, 159 goals, 159 assists. Hadji, 213 games, 99 goals, 89 assists. These two playing in those two central midfield positions going forward. Should obviously mention, of course, we always put the formation that we use the most as our Hall of Fame setup. It was the 4-3-3 second variation once again this year. And these two, as the two centre mids, absolutely ran the show from the February-March time until essentially I ended up taking my break. Next up is the final non-legend in the squad, and it was our best pack pull of the year. We are, of course, talking about Aitana Bonmati's Team of the Year card, who, when we packed her, was 3.5 million coins. She ended up playing 247 games for the club. My justification, of course, was she literally won the Ballon d'Or. She's the highest women's rated player in FC25. She's going to be a future legend. She's going to be a future icon or hero, probably icon as a Ballon d'Or winner. So we put her into the side. Her in that midfield was absolutely insane. And again, massive in some of our rank 2 and rank 3 finishes. Sadly not involved in any of the rank 1s. But Bonmati gets her place in the side. The next player is another SBC, an SBC that we ended up actually submitting into a future SBC. And it's quite actually hard to get a hold of because you actually have to search specifically for a Future Stars icon in Concepts to get the Cannavaro SBC. Again, we did a massive short on him. He was the best centre-back in the game for about a month, but sadly not good enough to meet the requirements to get into these two centre-back spots because the two players that we have here played more matches and just overall ended up playing better. But Cannavaro, fantastic again this year. Next to him, an absolute clutch hero purely from one weekend league. We're, of course, talking about the Ian Wright clutch, when we needed to win all of our last 3 matches to make it to just 14 wins. We were 11-6 that weekend league, and this Ian Wright came in and absolutely single-handedly carried us to 14-6. An incredible video, that one, would thoroughly recommend. Ended up with a positive record, 62 goals in just 57 appearances, but he gets his spot for having his big moment in that champs run. The final 3 players on the bench are again just players that had phenomenal seasons but don't quite make it into the starting lineup. Firstly, making their second appearance in the Hall of Fame, we have George Best. Again, a fantastic player for us. I think he was an SBC, Team of the Year SBC, that we ended up evoing to a 96. 291 games, 131 goals, 120 assists. Fantastic return from him. Next up, in my opinion, the single best right back in the game this year, and that was Cafu. This was the Golazo Cafu that I then evoed to a 97. He ended up replacing the right back that played, I think it was something like 500, 600 games for me at right back. He was the guy who finally took that guy out of the team. He will be revealed shortly. But for me, Cafu, the best right back in the game this year. And finally, the only person making it back-to-back Hall of Fame appearances, retaining their place from last year, albeit they were the starter goalkeeper last year. They are the backup goalkeeper this year, and that is the Team of the Year Petr Cech SBC. Absolutely phenomenal card. He was my goalkeeper right up until we came back from my 2-month hiatus. So really, really, really good. He was our goalkeeper from Christmas all the way through to literally April. Fantastic performances. Again, I SBC'd him once the 96 check came out, but still deserving of his place in the Hall of Fame. That then brings us to the starting 11. And if any of you have watched this series over the course of this year, you will probably know who these 11 players are. But we will start off, as always, with the goalkeeper. And that goalkeeper is going to be our base Peter Schmeichel, one of the earliest SBCs this year. This card ended up playing 965 games for us. He was our starter goalkeeper. We got him in as soon as we possibly could. As soon as that SBC came out, he went into the side and he played every single game until the Petr Cech SBC came out. Outstanding goalkeeper, someone that's been in the Hall of Fame before and deserved to get his place once again. Next up is the right back, and he's already been in videos over the course of this week and still proved he was as good as he was back then. We are talking about Michael Laudrup, the winter wildcard right back Laudrup. 600 106 games for him. He played right back. He played right mid when we played a 3-back. He was the most consistent player we used all season long. He moved into right centre-back at times once we got Cafu into the team as well. So consistent, taking arguably the worst icon EA have ever made and turning him into one of the best cards on the game. And I hope they do more stuff with Laudrup. Hopefully we get a better attacking version of him next year. But I can't wait to see what version they make of him because he was so good this year. The centre-back I am going to leave for now. The other centre-back I am going to put in, and it was yet another SBC that I ended up completing once they released it. Someone that was over 2 million coins at one point last year. And technically our third goalkeeper of the video. And that is the Lev Yashin centre-back SBC card. 219 games. Only 4 goals and 3 assists. He wasn't there for contributing. But as a solid defender, this guy was absolutely immense from the moment he came into the side. He was the one that ended up replacing Cannavaro in the team. And then it was him and our other centre-back that we'll reveal later. That then was our centre-back partnership right through until we took our break. The left-back I'm also going to leave for now because it's between the left-back and the centre-back for our player of the season this year. So we'll keep them secret for now and we'll move ahead to the midfield 3, who, to be fair, as a 3, I just can't separate any of them, so I'm going to put them all in together. We have the team of the year, Sauer. We have the Centurions, Andrea Pirlo SBC. And finally, we have our red Zinedine Zidane, because these 3, as a trio, because these 3 actually played as a trio for a solid 2 or 3 months. Zidane, 653 games. Pirlo, 660 games. Sauer, 359 games. As a trio in midfield, these 3 were absolutely phenomenal and all deserve a starting spot in this squad. I can't say anything bad about any of these 3 players. They complemented each other so well. Sauer's defensive mindsets. Pirlo with the finisher to get that shooting up to 92 was so crucial. And Zidane as the physical, skillful, box-to-box midfielder, absolutely immense. And then finally, we have the front 3. At right wing, we actually have a striker SBC that I then evoed, which is Kenny Dalglish, the Thunderstruck SBC that I very almost didn't do, but I'm so glad that I ended up doing him. 509 games, 383 goals, 228 assists. He contributed more than he played from right wing because he did play right wing. He was the architect of the long shot video that I posted earlier on this year where you could just literally get the ball on the right wing or the left wing. You didn't even need to finesse shot. You could just shoot and all of his long shots would go in. He was absolutely ridiculous. And then when they started covering the long shots, you could then cut inside and start doing finesse shots. So this card was absolutely immense. Speaking of finesse shots, at left wing, it has got to be our red double evoed Robert Pires. What an absolutely unbelievable card. This was 808 games, 357 goals, 308 assists. The absolute king of the finesse shots this year. 5-star skills after the Evos and with Trickster as well after the Evos. So much fun, this card. He was near enough untackleable at times. And he was still in my team after I came back from my 2 months break until I ended up getting literally the 99 rated cards. This card was so good and was another contender for player of the season. But on reflection, the left back and the centre back were the better options. And then up front, my favourite evolution of the year and my favourite striker to use for the period that I had him. It is the 90 rated Evoed base Van Persie, who ended the year 395 games, 479 goals and 211 assists. Purely a base Van Persie. I spent 265k on this card, 140 to buy him, or should I say snipe him, and then 125k to do the Evo, but it was worth every coin for the output that this guy had. Absolutely nuts card, and I'm gutted that we never really got the opportunity to upgrade him even more to a 5-star, but thankfully we did get the 90 rated left wing version, which is still fantastic to use as well. But Robin Van Persie, by far my favourite striker of the year, but he will also not be the player of the season because it is between 2. It is between our most capped player this year, which is comfortably John Arne Riise. And we have multiple versions of Riise. We have the 96 that I've only spent 12 games playing with. We have the 95 that I used 189 games with. But then finally, with an absolutely gargantuan 1,280 matches, we have the base John Arne Riise, which I purchased for 132,000 coins and then put through a couple of Evos. He only ended with 3-star skill and 2-star weak foot, but this card flat out was the best left back in the game all year long. Obviously, we then, like I said, got better versions of him, but he has basically been my left back for the entirety of this year because he has been absolutely immense. However, he will not be taking the player of the season spot because the man who was one of the first SBCs, if not the first SBC of the year at centre-back. It is probably most of your guys' favourite centre-back this year. Laurent Blanc, base SBC that we've put through a couple of Evos. He played 1,076 games for us, got 74 goals, by the way, which, okay, some of them were penalties, but the majority of them were headers from corners, 27 assists as well. An absolute first player on the team sheet player from literally the start of the game right through until the very end. And it was only after his 97 Futties card came out that this card came out of my team. He was absolutely phenomenal. And for me, just edges out John Arne Riise as the player of the season because Riise was a good player, but he was more for fun. Blanc was a good player that was the most important player in my squad, game in, game out, for the entirety of the 10 months I played this game. And that is going to be it for this video. This is your Hall of Fame squad for FC24. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know what players are going to make your Hall of Fame team. Thank you very much for watching the Legends Only RTG this year. We have one episode left to go, and that is to see if we can take our 15-0 record in our final Champs Weekend League with this squad into those final 5 games to see if we can get a final rank 1. Stay tuned for Sunday's episode because we're going to play them now. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you there.